All right. So welcome back to Inside the 90. Jamie, happy Friday.
Likewise, man. Fun to be here.
Absolutely. And you are decked out, my friend.
I got the shoes. I got the socks.
The wristband.
This was as close as I was getting the pink shirt today, but pink-ish shirt.
Yeah.
And so we're filming this in October, and it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And, a little bit of story on how I got to this is I'm doing a thing called Men Wear Pink. Hashtag Men Wear Pink. and I'm setting out to raise $10,000 for breast cancer research in the month of October. I think I'm at about 22% right now.
All right.
I think I'm $2,200. And so an email came to me introducing me to Mary Gwen at the American Cancer Society saying, hey, I got your name. Actually, Andy introduced you and said you may be interested. And Andy and Mary Gwen had no idea of my family's journey in the past year.
Yeah.
So it was very timely that my wife, as many people who know me and her know, she's a very competitive athlete, and was made the hard decision about 2 years ago to consider a double mastectomy. So we went through that journey over the past year and a half, and that started actually October 15th of last year was her surgery, and then that continued through this spring, and she is healthy and doing amazing now. But her family, her mother now has breast cancer for the second time. Her aunt has breast cancer. Her grandmother had breast cancer. So just something that really resonates with me. And the email just came in, this year, and I was like, absolutely, I'm in. So yeah, I am out to raise $10,000.
Yeah, timely for sure. Yeah. But we can blow that out of the water.
Yes. Well, the goal $10,000. Goal is $2,500. I already blew it up by 4.
Oh yeah. All right.
So I'm wearing pink every day, and this little bracelet, you can tap it with your with your phone, and it just pops up the donation. But
nice.
If anyone is interested, whether it's October or not, workwithwonder.com/pink. We'd love to have anyone who's willing to give and support.
Absolutely.
Help.
And you were telling me about some pink police.
Yeah. So supposedly they're out and they're looking for me. So if they pop up and you don't have your pink on,
they're going to pop up behind the curtain.
Yeah. They throw you in a jail cell somewhere, and then you got to fundraise to get yourself out. So I'm trying to just be way ahead of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Well, we've seen quite a bit of each other the last couple of weeks, which has been fun.
Yep.
We just got back from your annual planning up in Boone, North Carolina.
Yeah, one of my favorite spots.
Yeah, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So let's talk a little bit about annual planning today, and just that experience, how to prepare for it appropriately, the value, kind of how it walks through that a little bit. So maybe just start with your experience in annual planning in general.
Yeah, I think, for us in our EOS rollout right now, we're about 15 months in. And so we started June of 2024, right? So a year was starting in July, 1 quarter in. Now it's October, so we're going ahead and doing annual planning for next year. And I think it was really, after year one, when you really do have traction, like you're implemented, right? It's EOS is being embraced. You're living in it. You're running on it. The annual planning thing just it gets me really excited because never in my entrepreneurial journey have I been ready for January and October, right? And here we are. We got plans through the end of next December. We've got clarity. Everybody's aligned on it. It's really, it's a really powerful thing. But I think the biggest kind of biggest awareness thing for me is just that idea of gap and gain, right? Like being able to look back and say, what have we done in the past year? How are we working towards our goals? How have we done with accountability and, just growth in general?
Absolutely.
And then being able to look forward and say, like, all right, well, this is where we're going to go. And sometimes it can seem daunting, but when you look back, the thing for us, one of the things was like, we looked at our hiring cadence for next year, and it's like, all right, we got to hire a person a quarter. And you're like, wow, that seems, all right, how are we going to do that? And I look back and I'm like, oh, we've just been hiring a person a quarter for the past 5 quarters, right? Yeah. So just that gap of, it's easy to always feel like we're never going to get there. But when you pause and you reset and you look back and say, all right, let's look at what we've done. And then you cast vision forward and everybody is part of that process. It's super energizing.
Yeah. And what I heard you say in there from my experience too is the thought of the alignment component. So before EOS, I led sales and marketing for a software company, and we would do annual planning before we did EOS. But annual planning looked like, okay, here's your discipline, Andrew. You go. Here's your target in sales. We need to hit. Now you go do a plan and present it to the rest of the team.
Yes.
Same thing from a development perspective, product perspective. Same thing from like the different functions.
Yeah.
And there is something that about doing that together as a leadership team, and even doing annual planning as a functional team as well, that it's the alignment where you actually have an opportunity to look back and say, how well did we do based on our targets and our goals for that year, and then plan and align together as well.
Yeah, actually, very similar story. 2 parts to that. One, so when I ran sales and marketing for a software company. Yeah, I ran marketing first for about 4 years before I ended up in the sales and marketing seat. But it was a very entrepreneurial company. We weren't running on EOS, but had been steady, good growth, very, very entrepreneurial led. The CEO is very high visionary. But when I stepped in, at the beginning of a year, there was a plan already in place. Yeah. That had been done that previous fall. So my first time of doing annual planning kind of struggled because I didn't know what to tie it to. I'm trying to, in the marketing seat, trying to align with sales. And we did it and it all came together. And then the next year I decided, I was like, you know what, this seems backwards. Like it seems like CEO would be casting vision and then we would talk about how we're going to help get there, where it was much more of a departmental thing. Like y'all get together and talk about what you want to do and then we'll figure out how to put a bow on that.
Absolutely.
And what I didn't know what I was doing was kind of this 3-year picture thing. I remember I decided, I was like, I'm going to go with a 30-minute meeting with Jim. And I'm going to say like, all right, Jim, it was probably October when I said this. I was like, let's jump forward to the end of the next year. And we've killed it. Like, tell me how. And I just wanted to cast enough vision to get him to talk about goals. So then we could then build a plan behind that. And he got up on the whiteboard, which he loved. But if I would have just sat down and said, well, tell me the goals, and it was less of a conversation. I mean, it was more of just like, hey, tell me these things. It would have been different. But by jumping him forward, he was able to really cast vision. And then I was able to take that, get the rest of the leadership team aligned around what he said. And then we built a more robust plan. Yeah. And then, introduced the EOS years later. And it's, the strategic coach, it's called the R factor, which is if we jump forward 3 years, and this has been successful, how will you know? Very much aligns with a 3-year picture, which is, all right, let's talk about what good looks like in 3 years, and then back up and do the 1-year goal. Absolutely. So I think for us as a team last week, updating the 3-year picture and being like, oh, wow, like we're a year and a half into what was our original 3-year picture. Yeah. So now let's update that. Now that lets us get clarity on next year. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it is interesting. I just think back to those moments of, and it's funny, you started in marketing and then absorbed sales. I started in sales, leading sales, and then absorbed marketing. Yeah. So similar stories, just from different perspectives. And I just remember needing to put together a plan for the next year in October and November, and all I could think about in my mind was closing out the year strong. Yeah. And so it was actually really difficult for me to make this bridge between, there's a number that we're charged with right now that it's closing season. We need to get these things over the line by the end of the year. And I need to then think about the next year, but there's nothing to really anchor it in or tie it to from that perspective. Yeah. And so I just didn't have the same fortitude that you had in that moment to say, I need to get the vision first. It was more a little more floundering from that perspective.
Another thing too, which I'll say is, there's casting vision and then building a plan. And I would say all my experiences before were, hey, go build a plan. And I'm like, well, build a plan to what vision? And I think, sometimes when you're tasked with, your deliverable is a plan, there's a thud factor to it. It's like, all right, I've written a 25-page plan to make sure that everybody understands what we're going to do for marketing next year.
Right,
but now sales has to read a 25-page plan to figure out like, all right, what's all this coming together? And I think the brevity of the VTO is like, no, the planning comes later, right? That we can break that down into rocks, but just casting the vision and aligning on the goals and saying, all right, this is what we're going to accomplish next year. Everybody's lined up. Then you go away and it's like, all right, now each seat understands what they've got to do to be part of that whole and build their rocks and priorities to get there.
Absolutely.
So the idea of a thud factor, a 75-page business plan literally is what we were producing, which was good and historically had worked. But I much more like the EOS approach of the 2-page VTO.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about annual planning and let's start with when do you do it? So Wonder, this year you guys decided to do it in October.
Yeah. And I think for the very reason that you hit is you don't want to do it too late in the year where you're really trying to finish the year strong. Once Thanksgiving hits, Thanksgiving to New Year's can be, just it's atypical because of holiday times, clients, different priorities, people trying to finish the year and everything. So we pulled back to first week of October. For us, another benefit of that is first week of October is the fall. We're right here in the foothills. So being able to get, out of the office for 2 days, go to Boone, North Carolina. We actually, our longest term client relationship, is a real estate developer in Boone. So as you know, we got to stay in a client's resort, and really enjoy the mix of, thinking and planning with some hanging out, some recreation, and some really good poker tips.
Yes, we have Mark to thank for that. Definitely, that Queen of Spades, man.
But I think for me, I do like the mindset of, all right, we know next year's plan, and we're finishing this year well. So two things are already aligned.
Yeah, I agree. October works really nicely for two main reasons that I see. One is that you're still finishing the year. So it's really aligned at the end of annual planning. You do the next 90 days.
Yes.
So it really gets clear on what you need to finish out this year to set us up for a strong next year. And then the other reason I like it is because you're building the plan a quarter ahead.
Yeah.
So you actually have it all written down and then you're confirming it come December or January, saying, yep, nothing's changed. Let's go. So that's two reasons why I like that. The other time of the year that I actually really like it is January. So if you're a team that I just want to lock in and let's just go 100%, close it out and then plan, that's another good time that I like it as well.
Yeah. And my experience, I'm a January 2nd guy. I want to come back and be like, all right, it's go time.
It's all clear.
So you start the year strong.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Well, good. All right. So that's when we do it. Let's talk about, there's an interesting thing about going away or not going away for annual planning. I would say that about 80% of the teams I work with go away.
Yeah.
And about 20% don't, which all I'm saying there is that we always do quarterly planning offsite out of the office.
Yeah.
Usually in a conference room setting, whether it's at a hotel or Flywheel or some type of conference room. When we talk about going away, we're talking about going to a different city, get a hotel, get an Airbnb, and actually spend more time together outside of just the session planning.
Yeah, I do think the fellowship part of it is really important. So I would say my earlier entrepreneurial Jamie, it's like that, leaving for 2 days, you're like, oh, the world's going to fall apart.
Right.
And I think that's part of Vision, Traction, and Healthy is we should be able to leave.
Absolutely.
If annual planning, if we're 9 months in, even in our first year rollout, you should be in a spot where you should be able to leave, say for 2 days.
Absolutely.
But just, being able to unplug and focus and not have distractions. And that mix, we've done immersive day one, and then the second day kind of wrap up and close. But I like this year at your recommendation, we did the immersive day one morning till 2, and then we got out for the afternoon. And then we came back the next day and pressed through for like the full day. And Absolutely. I think that, having a break, setting, day one, the vision component, right? And then that Friday day was much more.
Well, think about it. The way that I think about the 2 days, because they're actually two very different purposes. That day one purpose is really team health driven.
Yes.
So that I like to put the activities and the team bonding in day one because it just wraps that up really nicely. But day one's all about how do we get more aligned as a team? How do we uncover the things that are holding us back? Let's talk about things that are a little bit uncomfortable that we know are in our way, and how do we move through that? How do we build trust as a team? That's really what day one's all about.
And then actually, I said vision earlier, but it was all the whole 2 days were vision to me. For us, also in the course of a year, high probability you're going to have a new person on the leadership team. So us bringing Andy in. And that was his first annual planning with us. And the team health, the having a person who's been with us for 3 months, but now being, the fourth member of our leadership team, and the three of us have been there now for a year and a half. So it changes that dynamic. And the team health conversations, right? It's like, hey, I need you to start more of this and stop doing this. And those were really healthy. That really knocked down some walls, I think, and got everybody, I get alignment but
opened everybody up.
I would say it made everybody vulnerable. Yes. It broke down the walls, made everybody vulnerable. And everyone on our team, I feel like, was really bought into like, all right, cool. This is, we are aligned.
Absolutely.
We're comfortable saying what we need to say. We're good with candor. So.
And let's think about it, right? We're going away. We're going to get up there the evening before. We're going to kick off first thing in the morning. We're there for 2-3 nights together. So there's like this excitement too of like, going grocery shopping and taking pictures and sending like, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And, we went skeet shooting. And so like loading equipment up and just having this conversation. So that's one thing I would tell a team is that if they don't have members excited about that, that's an issue that you need to look into. Because that's a break in health. There's some distrust or some aspect of trust that's not there. We should be able to get excited to go and do that as a team. Especially a lot of times, like you said, there's a new team member from last annual to this annual. If we're growing, right, usually the team will shift a little bit. And so the entity changes. We have each person has their own entity, but then as a team, as a leadership team, there's an entity as a team as well. And so things shift. We built core values by discovering that team, right? We have a new person on the team, which it may shift that a little bit. We just have to recognize that's in the room.
And even doing, from a personality perspective, like we were going skeet shooting, which is, it's fun. Like we were going to Chatola Resort in Boone, North Carolina has a whole sporting clays range. And, Mark grew up in Pennsylvania, high school, shot sporting clays. And Mark is our highly responsible partner, manages all of our media, super buttoned up. And he was like, all right, guys, let me give y'all some ground rules. And I knew that it was really, all right, Jamie, let me give you some ground rules. Because it's like visionaries and guns may not be the best combination. But it was fun too, just to kind of see the dynamic and see how good he was at both sporting clays and poker.
Oh man.
And how much we all learned from each other during that day. Absolutely. It was a lot of fun.
So day one, we kick off, right? We take a minute to reflect on the year. And so we're talking about things that are big wins over the year, business wins, professional wins, anything unexpected that happened that's a positive. We then talk about Like, let's look at the year. We set these goals. Are we going to hit them? How close are we? What got in our way? And then we go directly into team health.
Yeah.
So we're kind of just pulling out things and really setting the stage to really do good work together with the boundaries down in a vulnerable state, to ensure that alignment at the end of it. And everybody said day one of their favorite things was that team health exercise.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, there's, this was the first time that, I try not to use the word startup with an agency type of model, right? Startup, you think tech and, SaaS and recurring revenue and all that, but we are a younger agency, but we've all done it multiple times before. Yeah. And the first 9 months of this year, we're growing, right? We're trying to, each month we're getting more revenue. We're adding to the team. We're reinvesting every penny back into the business. And so previous just quarterlies were much more, in my brain, I was in a scarcity mindset, right? We don't have enough people. You don't have enough revenue. Like we're a victim of our size, which you always tell me, like, hey, don't tell yourself that, but I've done enough to know that like the size that we've been is hard. But this,
you want to get into it again?
No. I've let go of that, because, it was really refreshing to sit down and do an annual planning from a point of abundance now. Yeah. It's like we finished, September hitting, for Q4, we're actually in line with where we set out and we planned a year ago.
It's amazing.
It really is.
I see this all the time. The fact that you write the goals down, these are the things we're going to want to accomplish. Here's our targets, where we're going to be at the end of the year. And when you do that, some teams are like, well, it's just kind of a guess. Let's put it out there. But then we look at it every 90 days. We plan to it every 90 days. By the end of the year, we're like right on the button a lot of times. Yeah. It happens all the time.
And just to look at, growth, and then, it can be scary to go like, all right, we want to, as an agency, right now we want to grow about 65% year over year to get us to where our 3-year picture was. Yeah. And that can seem daunting, but you look back and it's like, we've already done it multiple times, that like 10X idea. But just to be able to plan with confidence, because we've forecast and now we've gotten a little bit predictable, right? Yeah. We're not totally there yet, but I think next year is going to be much more of a predictable quarterly forecast than the past year. But it took having that goal and, getting everybody aligned on it, and then coming back even, so this coming Monday, we're recording this on a Friday. 3 days from now, I'll be doing the state of the company and casting the vision for the next year. But I'll also be able to tell them, look how far we've come, and we still have 3 months, 2.5 months, and let's hit this number to finish this year well, so that have a solid baseline to start next year really strong.
Absolutely.
And so it just all kind of ties together and gets, in a creative agency, it's taken me over 2 decades to get creatives and other people to think as far as revenue and how they contribute and everything. And like, we're actually there. We are literally, we're starting to get traction and momentum and predictability, which is just very exciting.
And I think you did it. You took the team away for 2 days, even being a young agency. Yeah. Having deliverable deadlines while you were gone. And the team back home was still able to deliver.
Yeah.
It can be done. Yeah. 100% can be done. Yeah. And so I just kudos to you and the team for being able to do that. Yeah. For sure. So day one, we wrap up the actual session time with a really big issues list, always. It's like day one is let's get everything on the table. What are things that are possibly holding us back? What are the opportunities ahead of us? And we walk away with this list. Do you remember the number?
It was 37.
37.
At the first pass.
The first pass we added to it. Yeah. But 37, we walked away day one. And I just remember everybody like, how are we ever going to get through these things? But what it does is just opens our mind to see all of the potential opportunities, threats, weaknesses, strengths, all of that's on there. And then we go away and we have some fun together. So after getting all of this on the paper, we go do that. So let's talk a little bit about just that importance of that time in general.
Yes, I think
the overall planning.
I think the issues list. I think Mark did say he was like, "All right, I'm just going to confess I'm a little overwhelmed. Like, look at all these. As much as it feels good, like day one, the stuff that we talked through, like looking at that was daunting. And I think you did a good job of just say, trust the process. We're going to get through this. But I think building those lists, one with candor. Because it's like, it's not, we may have an issue that belongs to a person or a department or a team, but let's just get all those issues out.
Yeah.
And then being able to look back and start to prioritize, all right, which ones are the most pressing. And I think you did a good job facilitating because you end up solving some of the issues while addressing the issues. So we didn't solve 37 issues independently.
Right.
But by going through the right order and getting through them all, we started checking a lot of them off.
Well, what ends up happening is those 37 that we had, when we go into day 2 and we start with our 1-year plan and 90-day rocks, we did our 3-year picture just because we took some of the time from day 1. But typically you do 3-year picture on day 1, but say day 2. So you have this big list and you're starting to, things have a place now. Well, we don't really need to spend hours discussing that item because we have all year. It's one of our top goals.
Yes.
So let's just take away at it quarter by quarter. So by the time you get through 3-year picture, 1-year plan, and 90-day rocks, 70% of the issues already have a place and it's already defined. And we probably IDS'd it in the rock creation a lot of the times.
Yeah, I think also adding a new member to the team. So, a lot of issues for us are, say, operational in nature. And Warren and I have worked together for a long time. He's my integrator. So he and I spend a lot of time, same page meeting, getting in sync on a lot of these. And then Mark he's on the leadership team, runs the service line, but he's really involved on the media side of things. And then Andy was brand new to the team. So, even issues just bringing clarity.
Yeah.
I think getting everybody around talking through the whole issues, we really created that alignment because I would say most of the time, Warren and I are pretty dialed in. Absolutely. But not everybody else has a purview to everything that's going on.
Well, you heard Andy multiple times say, I didn't recognize that, or I didn't know that was a big issue, or I didn't. And that's the beauty of all of this, is that we walk away with, we're all thinking the same way. Yeah. We're all on that same page to then go to work and get some of these things solved for. So good. So, any recommendations talking to anybody, to other teams as they're starting to plan their annual planning?
Do it, first of all.
2 days. You're saying do 2 days.
Yeah, do 2 days.
And away.
Yeah. Trust the process.
Yeah.
If you're self-implementing, this annual planning is definitely, facilitators don't participate. So I think that's the great role. Obviously, you are our implementer, so you facilitating that was great. But if you're going to get away and do annual planning, I recommend you bring in someone third party who's not participating in it to walk you through the process. Yeah. I would say be humble, be vulnerable, especially if you're in the visionary seat. I think you're going to set the tone. Mm-hmm. So if you're very defensive, and that's going to affect the whole room. Right?
Absolutely.
So I think, to just come to the table with humility, do the work, right? I mean, you're assigning a lot of exercises out and we're having to take time to write stuff down. And I appreciate that our whole team, I think, really did the work.
The prep work?
Yeah. Well, the prep work and the work.
In it.
In the sessions, I think, but, and then, I just hate drama. And we don't have a lot of drama. Right. I mean, we have some tension, as you saw, like we can get, personalities can get conflict and you can mishear what someone's saying and be like, hey, let me, unpack that and give me more detail. And especially you're locked in a room for 8-9 hours talking through stuff, like tension doesn't necessarily equate to drama, because tension in the room it's, can be okay if it's just honest and you have candor about how you're speaking about everything. But then when you leave, everybody's aligned.
Yeah.
It's one and done. We're just not taking drama. We're not bringing it in or taking it out, but tension is okay.
Yeah. It's okay to have it in the room.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's actually needed.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions, if we're not having conflict, that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
So we need productive conflict in that room. That means we're being open. That means we're being honest. We're being vulnerable.
Yeah.
We're trusting each other. And so that tension is a very positive thing. It leads to alignment.
Yeah.
Couple recommendations that I have. One is that self-implementing EOS companies, I love, if they're going to start with an implementer, I love starting in annual planning.
Yeah.
It's like a really good place to start with an implementer. So bringing that third-party facilitator in, it's a really good place. Another recommendation is that prepare. So what I mean by prepare is one is read the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. Know that that's what day one is all about. So come in, really take a clarity break on what does this team need? How do we become more healthy? How do we get the issues on the table? How do we have more productive conflict? How do we raise our accountability? All of that. And day one is all about that and be prepared for that. And day 2 is all about creating the plans. So I would prep in those 2 different mindsets and bring those in that.
Yeah, and I think a really powerful thing is, and I'd forgotten about this because I'd done 2 annuals in my previous, when I was an integrator and we did a formal EOS rollout. But the one thing, when we did that exercise and you go through it and, my one commitment for the next 15 months, 5 quarters and to the end of next year, is that I commit to share information that's in my head, even when it's not convenient to me, because I'll be like, I know you need that, but I got other things I'm working on and I'm not ready to give it to you yet. And that's a big issue. Like I am an information bottleneck. So just me committing to the team and being like, all right, I'm going to stop, even though this is my priority. That for me personally, I feel like this is more important than the urgent and important quadrant. But I have people that need information that I have, and they can't do their job without me doing it. So I'm committed to my team for the next year of saying like, all right, you need that. I'm going to pause, shelf what I'm working on for the minute, give you the time that you need, and get the information. And ultimately, that's good for me, right? It's not as much as I'm a control freak and I don't want to give it away. I just am working on something else, and my brain isn't in that column yet.
And we teed that up from a standpoint of, that wasn't feedback from the team saying, I just wish you did this just because. It was teed up as, what do you need to do either to start or stop doing for the betterment of all of Wonder?
Yes.
For us to help us achieve our goals, right? For the benefit, for the greater good. What do you need to start or stop doing? So it's above any one person.
Correct.
It's like, that's what you need to do to make sure that we're moving forward.
And there's a lot of vulnerability in that.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the state of the company. We're going to roll out what our one thing is from the leadership team for everybody to hear that.
Amazing. Yeah.
And I think they will all be very excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But biggest takeaway is never take for granted what hanging out and recreating with people that you work with all day can do for a relationship. So just getting to know each other, the bonding, just the value of 2 days. Really, 2 days are giving us a quarter of a year plus 365, right? It's a very small percentage of time to commit to really have, 4 or 5 quarters of amazing progress.
It really provides enough to carry you through for the year.
Yeah.
Like I remember doing it with Barracks and Tom and Steven, and we rented a small little cabin in northern Michigan in Traverse City, and we got snowed in. Like you couldn't leave. It was a complete whiteout, and we had an absolute blast. And that bonding time carried us through till the next one.
Yeah.
right? Like it really does a lot more than you recognize.
And I mean, I got to talk about poker for a second.
Oh,
so like I've played poker my whole life. I'm not very good at it. You got to bring it up just because I'm not very
hot that
well. I'm not good at it. I've never really understood the strategy, but Mark is a competitive poker player, and you could tell. I mean, he's very passionate, and when he just sat down and started walking us through, like Andy had never played poker in his life.
Yeah,
I think you and I and Warren had all played kind of family recreational penny poker type of stuff, but. Just the way he taught us the whole game and the psychology and all that stuff. And then I was killing it, right? It was like every hand I got, which is I was taking it all in Warren over and over.
It was always against Warren too.
Always against Warren.
And you'd catch something right on the river.
And then I was like, I said this out loud. I was like, Warren, if that next card is a black queen, I just ruined your day. And sure enough, a black queen. I got to take it all. I was giddy. And then we went another round, and it got down to where if Warren had a 3 of hearts, I was done. And something got thrown down, and I jumped ahead, and I was scraping the money off. And then the next card got thrown, and it was the 3 of hearts.
You thought 5 cards
I thought 5 were down because I was so like, the pattern was, I'm just crushing you. And I ended up losing everything in the end. So, but
finally caught up.
Yeah, Mark was a great teacher. It was cool bonding. We got to understand all the strategy and everything with poker. And
that's a good call out. Like, this has happened twice now where somebody teaches the team something that they're passionate about, like poker. Like it's just a fun social thing. The way Mark's passion is about the statistics and
he's a media analyst. He's a poker analyst.
Like the analysts and like all this side of it was really neat to just see him bring that out. And it's a neat way to do it. Is like have somebody teach the team a new game or something that they're passionate about.
Yeah, I think so. This time next year, I think we'll be looking back and we'll be talking about the value of the planning itself, and we'll still be telling poker stories.
100%. 100%. So. All right, Jamie. Anything else on annual planning?
No, man. I'm just ready to knock the next 4 quarters out and do it all over again.
Let's go. Let's go. 90 days at a time.
All right.
Let's do it. All right, brother. Till next time.
Absolutely.